Hey guys, welcome back to 52 Men of the Bible, the series that we're doing throughout 2022. And this is effectively a man from the Bible for each of the weeks. And we are looking this week, week 25, at Daniel. Now, Daniel's known for the den of lions, essentially, that he was thrown into the den of lions and was expected to be mauled, but actually was alive and well the following morning. And all of the implications that had in Babylonia, spiritually at that time, was an amazing story. But there is so much more about Daniel. And so we're going to have a little look at Daniel in a couple of minutes. Once you've picked up your Bibles and had a look at, you got it. There's a whole book written about him. Go off and have a skim read, and I'll see you in a couple of minutes. Hi guys, it's week 25 of 52 Men of the Bible, and this week we're looking at Daniel, as I said. And now I come from a church family, so my father was a Baptist minister in the Welsh Valleys, and so I grew up with all sorts of Bible stories in Sunday school. And one of the key characters in my childhood and in Sunday school was always Daniel. So I know the story of the lion, Daniel in the lion's den, and I know the song that goes with it. Don't worry, I'm not going to sing it to you. But all of this stuff is like kind of it was fodder for us as we were growing up, and I think Daniel is an amazing guy in terms of he is. There's so much more to his story than just the lion's den. But he's one of the guys who was taken across into Babylonia. Israel's in captivity, and the cabinet, the government, not the cabinet against the wall, the government, if you like, at that time, they were keen to make sure that Israel was assimilated into the Babylonian ways, that they didn't practice their religion. They didn't stay Hebrew. That wasn't acceptable. And they ate food that was offered to idols and all sorts of stuff like that. It was like literally a real sense of cleansing them from their culture and from their faith, their religion. And one of the things that they did, just in terms of that story about Daniel and the lion's den, is they went to Nebuchadnezzar, the king, and they said, look, we need to put a big edifice up to you, a statue of you. And when the bells ring, everybody needs to come and bow down and worship you, because you are the most powerful man on earth. You are a god to all of these people. And Nebuchadnezzar, a little bit narcissistic, is probably an understatement. And he says, yeah, great, let's do that. Let's build this statue. Now, he really values and loves Daniel. He loves who he is. He loves what he brings. I mean, God has proven to Nebuchadnezzar the value of Daniel. But one thing Nebuchadnezzar didn't think through was that there was no way Daniel would ever bow to a statue. There's no way that Daniel was not going to pray to God. And so you've got, at the end of this little story, you've got Nebuchadnezzar, Abednego, and Meshach. They are thrown into a burning furnace. They don't die. It's like 7 times hotter than it ever has been before. They don't die. Jesus walks in there with them and protects them. And then there's also Daniel, who refuses to not pray, and he's caught praying to God, and so he ends up being thrown into the lion's den. And he spends the night with the lions, and again, God shuts the lions' mouths, And all of this, these stories, these Daniel and his mates, proving that if we honor God, God is very, very capable and powerful enough to protect us in there. We don't need to fear man. We don't need to fear what people can do to us. We need to fear God. And when I say fear God, I'm not talking about be frightened of him, but we need to know that he is the one who holds ultimate power for all eternity. And so we serve him, we follow him, we love him, because that's what we're called and created to be. Now, here's the thing. So when the three guys are thrown into the fire, there's a sentence that they say, and I love this. They say, God is able to protect us, and even if he doesn't, we will not bow to anyone other than to God. And that, I think, sums up the heart, the integrity and the determination that we find actually in Daniel 2. So here's the thing. The first thing we learn from Daniel is this: serve the right master. Follow God. Don't let man distract you. Don't let man turn your eyes away from God, and do not choose anything other than God as your as the one you follow, the one you serve, the one you worship. That's key to this. But also in Daniel, there's this prophetic edge, and we are still benefiting from Daniel's prophetic edge. Now, if you read the second half of the book of Daniel, it's really hard to understand. Yeah, I'm not the biggest scholar, by a long, long way. And so much of it is really hard to understand. But I am reliably informed by those who are much, much more in tune and intelligent than me, that some of the stuff that God revealed to Daniel is helping us to understand what's happening here today. And this is the thing I want to say. I don't want to get all end timesy about this and start giving you predictions that I know are probably not going to come true because I don't really understand it all. What I want to say is that God is the source of all wisdom. Okay, but he only gives that wisdom to those who he can trust. And he could trust Daniel. So for me, reading the first half of the book of Daniel is key. It's key because he made the right decisions at the right time. He acted on conscience and he put God first in his life. And then God used him like unbelievably beyond there. And that's what I think we learn from Daniel. And I want to refer to the verse that's in the end of this chapter in the 52 Men resource, because this is really key. It's this, when Jesus said in John 14 verse 1, "Do not let your hearts be troubled. You believe in God, believe also in me." You know, there were so many reasons why Daniel and his friends could have let their hearts be troubled. They ended up in a furnace that was 7 times hotter than it had ever been for anyone else. It killed the guys who were pushing them in, for goodness sake. Daniel ends up in a den of lions and has to spend the night with animals that would eat him as soon as look at him, and yet God protected him. And what it says to me is that when we choose to do the right thing, when we choose to follow God, when we choose to speak out, when we choose to share the hope of the gospel, we don't need to let our hearts be troubled about what the reaction to that's going to be. We just need to trust God. Guys, clearly choose now. Choose who you're going to follow. Are you going to live for man and be bobbed about and pushed in every direction? Or are you going to trust God? You're going to give everything to him, knowing that he can protect you, knowing that he can bring you through any situation. And if he doesn't, you're still going to follow him. You're still going to worship only him, because he gives us an eternity which no man, no one can ever take away from us. Have a great week, guys, and I'll speak to you again next week.